Hey, Zach, what's your expectations for AJ Green this week?
Yeah, he'll take today off, which he's usually on schedule to take Wednesdays off anyway, and expect him to practice tomorrow. But he's feeling good.
Let's talk about the Colts, the challenges they present for you offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I'll start with their defense. Very disciplined, sound technicians, play with great effort. They have a lot of confidence in what they're doing, and they just execute at a very, very, very high level. I'd say on offense, they've got a really solid offensive line. They got good backs. They got receivers that can separate. T.Y. So he's been killing people forever. They got a good group of tight ends, and then Phillip throws as good an anticipation as any quarterback I've ever been around. And he can be really aggressive with the ball and create some explosive plays for him, explosive touchdowns. So they really keep you on your heels that way.
Zach, where do you feel like AJ's at mentally as heading into this week?
He's in a great place.
Any update on any other injuries, Coach, that you can give?
Start working Mackenzie Alexander back in. He's been inactive the last couple of weeks with that hamstring. Auden Tate will be day-to-day with the shoulder. Sam Hubbard, obviously, he'll be out this week. And I don't feel like I'm missing anybody else. I think that's it.
Jack, you've talked in the past about doing those Saturday night sit-downs with Joe and Brian and going through the plays that you like and all that stuff. Do you do stuff like that with a receiver and the quarterback together, particularly in a situation where you're trying to get that chemistry going?
Not necessarily just isolated, one receiver, one quarterback, but we certainly do more things now as groups, post-practice and things like that to make sure all those voices are being heard. And what's most important is not always just the coaches getting up there and installing and correcting and saying all the things that we got to do. It's the players communicating with one another in a meeting setting. And so we create those opportunities for those guys to make sure that they're all on the same page.
How important is maybe finding some extra effort with developing the chemistry between Joe and AJ? I mean, Joe was just saying about how something you guys really need to work at right now, and that's obvious. How can you do that, outside of the obvious of more game reps?
I think as we just get going through these weeks, we certainly felt like offensively we were on an upward trend there, and just, it's hard to even say setback. We know there were things correctable last week, but again, you play 16 games. That's going to be a blip on the radar at the end of the day. We still have a ton of confidence. Got a lot of confidence in the chemistry of that group. Feel like that's really coming along. And so it's one of those things you don't want to force. It comes naturally. We got a lot of good dudes in both those rooms that just want to be productive and help our team win ultimately. That's the bottom line. And that's where I feel really good about this team right now. Is it's okay for guys to get frustrated throughout the team and coaching. When you don't win, that's the expectation. But we're at a place at this team where we can move past that stuff and still be a strong unit and be able to put that one quickly behind us and move forward to what's important the next week. And I think that's the growth we've seen on this team over a 2-year process.
Coach, Eberflus isn't a big blitz guy traditionally. I mean, he's not a huge blitz percentage guy, but NFL, I mean, tapes out. Do you think he'll be what he is, or do you think he'll increase blitz, or you got to prepare for everything? Where do you go with that?
Yeah, you always got to prepare for everything, and certainly you go back over 2 years watching tape of the other team. And so again, he's certainly capable of bringing some good stuff, and it's our job to be ready and be prepared for everything and still stay in attack mode.
Why is Jesse Bates taking such a step forward this season?
It's the second year in this system. So you look at a guy, his rookie year, he's in a system, and then the next year it's a start over. It's a new coaching staff, new system. You certainly see the confidence he's playing with now, and so that's really good to see from a guy in their third year. And so it's not surprising that you take a big jump like that. He's a really talented player. Everything is important to him, and he's just done a really good job for us through these first 5 games.
Xavier Williams talked about go ahead.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Thank you. Has part of it been having Von Bell there in as well? Has that made a positive impact on Jesse?
I think it's a really good group in general. And that's Von Bell, that's Sean Williams, Brandon Wilson, Rob Livingston. That's a really good safety group. And I think they all work really well together and their communication's really good. So yeah, that's credit to Von, that's credit to Sean, that's credit to Jesse, credit to Rob. It's a good job by that whole group.
Coach, Xavier Williams talked about being familiar with some of the defensive terminology. Is that one of the reasons why you guys maybe decided to sign him?
I wouldn't say that was the primary reason.
Yeah.
He's a guy that you watch a lot of guys, our scouts do, Duke does, our coaches do, and he was somebody we felt like we should add to the group.
Coach, is with Phillip Rivers, I mean, does he mainly stay in the pocket? Can he get around? And how about his accuracy?
I think that he throws with excellent anticipation and accuracy. And, maybe he doesn't move as well as he did in 2002 when he was beaten up on Wake. And I was sitting there on the bench, but he's still dangerous and capable and has a great high football IQ and puts his team in great position. He gets the ball out to those backs and check downs before you can get him on the ground. So I've just always had such high respect for him. Just I feel like I've watched every game he's played in for 20 years, and I guess that has an effect on you.
Zach, I was actually just about to ask. I mean, does it feel surreal? I mean, y'all are about the same age, and I think he was 21 when he entered the league. I mean, is it surreal that you're a head coach against him and he's still playing?
That's probably the one guy, I think, just because I was a true freshman at Wake, third string quarterback, and you're playing really the first big time quarterback you ever seen in person. He looked like a machine out there warming up, and he just diced us up, in 2002 or whenever it was. And so for whatever reason, that makes an impact on you, and so to coach against a guy like that is a little bit surreal, but it's part of the process. You have a lot of those moments, trust me, over the however many years I've been in this league. There's plenty of them, and this just one of many. But again, we're going out there to beat him and win this game.
So is this a revenge game for you then?
Truth be told, we got that revenge game the next year, in Winston-Salem.
Coach, what kind of challenge does the secondary for the Colts, pretty opportunistic secondary, what kind of challenges does Joe face with those guys?
Yeah, they're tight in coverage. They do create, they've got a lot of picks this year, 6, I believe. And so they do a really nice job, but again, it's all three levels with them. It's the front being so disciplined against the run, the front and the backers, and even the corners and the safeties in the run game. And these guys being really dialed in on your concepts, and they're just very sound with their fundamentals. They don't overly complicate things. They pair things nicely together, and it's just a really, really solid defense.
They've got their share of Pro Bowlers, 4 or 5, whatever they've got on that defensive side of the football. Does any one of them jump out on tape more than any other to you?
It's a group that jumps out, and Darius Leonard, obviously he didn't play last week. He's there's several you can name all of them on defense really. It's a group that stands out together.
Coach, what is the key to rushing effectively in the red zone, and why do you think you guys maybe struggled a little bit in that area this year?
The key is, those safeties are going to be tighter. And so in a lot of ways, there's an extra guy in the box. So you really got to be on top of the details. And if you look back over our 5 games in the red zone, there's times we've gotten the ball to the 1-yard line and haven't scored touchdowns. And it's going to kill all your efficiency and all that. We don't really worry about that. We just want to score touchdowns. But the ones I can think of, where sometimes it's such a tiny detail between scoring a touchdown or getting a 5-yard gain or losing 4 yards down there, because they're so hell bent on stopping the run and firing off. And there's just examples running through my head that I actually watched last night, just going back through all the red zone snaps. And again, we just got to be really, really detailed when we're down there in the red zone in the run game.
How much does not feel like you have traction or confidence maybe running in the red zone kind of affect the whole effectiveness of the whole system down there a little bit,
We still have even if you have a negative play, it doesn't really affect your confidence. It's just making sure we make that correction and don't make that error again. And we didn't have opportunities to fix some of that stuff last week that came up against Jacksonville and came up against Philly. We felt like we had a great red zone plan. We just never – I think our last play of the game was on the 19-yard line. It was the first time we got into the red zone. So, again, that part is disappointing that you didn't get a chance to execute a plan that you felt really good about, run and pass.
As far as red zone goes, Coach, they don't let people in the red zone much. I mean, they're like tied for 3rd in the NFL and letting people in there and letting people score touchdowns. What makes them so effective in the red zone defensively?
Well, I'd start with just their run efficiency on first and second down, and then third down. Just watching the third down tape, they do a really good job there. And again they win the third downs more times than not there, and they've done a nice job not allowing those long drives. And you do see probably more drives on tape more than ever start inside the 20 for the opponents. So you see some long situations teams face with them, and again that's their offense being productive and their special teams unit pinning people down there, and quite a few drives that have started inside the 20, which you don't always see on tape.
Is there one thing you want to see from Joe Sunday that you did that maybe he didn't do in Baltimore that you'd like to see him improve on? Is there anything that stands out?
For any rookie, you're going to learn things from every single game, good and bad. And oftentimes you're going to learn a lot more from the adversity that the team faces than you are from the success that you had. And so every game is equally as important, whether you beat Jacksonville or you lose to Baltimore. He's self-motivated. He wants to improve every single week. And so, again, he'll continue to get better with every single game and every rep.
Coach, do you expect Geno Atkins' snap count to increase this week? And how important is it to get him going considering you guys' lack of depth at defensive tackle?
Yeah, I'd say that's a strong possibility. I'm not going to make any declarations on the snap count, how it'll play out, because each team is different that you face. But certainly he's getting healthier as he goes.
Getting back to Joe, you rarely see really good quarterbacks have back-to-back bad games. Is that a law of averages thing because they are good, they're bound to bounce back, or is there something mental to that, something about a guy's makeup to come back stronger and hungrier the following week and make up for the poor performance?
Yeah, I mean, despite moving on, we all play those snaps in our head over and over, play calls, plays you made, routes you, whatever it is. That's human nature. So I can't really answer that because I wasn't a great quarterback, Jay. But the great ones can probably answer that for you. But again, we expect our whole unit to respond and play much better this week.
Have you ever been involved in a season where and there's a position group every year that gets hit? It's like an infectious disease injury, But I've never defensive tackle. It's more than a handful. It's like 7 guys that you've gone through, and it's only a quarter of the way through the season. Have you ever been involved in anything like that?
I can't say that I have, but it doesn't matter. You got to go find a way to win the game and stop the other team you're playing. So, we can't waste any time worrying about that. We're collecting a group of guys who want to do it the right way and are giving us all they got, and you saw that last week. You're going to see it again this week. And so that's a group that I'm really proud of. The job that Nick Eason has done with those guys to get them ready. Some of them on a month's notice, some of them on a week's notice, some of them on a day's notice, so again, that just speaks to the character that we got in this team and the guys that we're bringing in the building. They're about the right stuff, and we're going to get the most out of them.